Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for either seeing it, listening to it, or being guided in any which way that you are here to Sit in It, the podcast with myself, Tracy A. Martin. I have an amazing soul that I've gotten to have great moments with, and his name is DJ. DJ, would you like to say hi to all your audience today?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my name's DJ. I'm not sure what we're gonna get into here today, but I'll try and keep my heart open and the ego quiet, and let's see where it goes. But hello, good morning.
Wonderful.
Risings.
So, in this new season, like I've said to anyone that's watching on the Sit in It podcast, before it was just people that would email in questions, concerns, some that would keep an alias name so that they wouldn't feel like they were being outed in any way. And we know the 5D world is about being authentic, showing up real, so that many more people cannot feel like they have to hide anymore, because hiding is a devil's playground. And we want to be authentic. We want to speak our story, speak how we're feeling, so that other people realize they're not alone in this as well. So, the reason that I have asked DJ to come on for this interview today is DJ is a profound soul and has an amazing story. You've always had such a phenomenal, extraordinary life of many experiences. And I would like to start by asking you, where I know on some level you've always known that you're different from a lot of people and that you were here to make some game changes, and that's why you've gotten to be in all these different places, times, events, to show up, to observe, to learn to become the observer again. What is your story of where the plight was, the tribulations and the triumphs that helped lead you back to you?
Well, thanks for the kind words, first of all. Let's see. I don't know. I've always been trying to fit in my body and in this world since maybe before I even, got here. Maybe I was never connected when I arrived here. Wonder if it's, the cards were dealt as children, in the space and time that we're in. Parents do the best they can. So I came through some, beautiful moments as a child and dysfunctional ones, but I never fit my skin. I'm just always seeking that connection and security with myself, and just didn't feel it at all. And trying to figure that out as time goes. It's a process of what's going on, how that all started, and what it's all about. But I just didn't want to look. I didn't want to sit in it. I just didn't. I was detached and a people pleaser, and trying to be the best person I could be outside of myself, to try to attract life outside of myself. Basic survival, not in a natural instinct to want to connect. But I didn't have a foundation in the beginning as a child on how to fit in here anyways. But so I created a facade, I suppose, as a young child. And I always had a big heart and empathetic, and trying to, take care of people around me. And in that, I lost myself, I suppose. Never had the opportunity to connect with my true self. And it was just in the last year or two that really I got down to what that core stuff looks like. And it's amazing. That's where the freedom is, understanding where I fit in now in my skin, I suppose. But I guess the changing moments were like the first time I touched not something to numb or tap out of my skin myself. I was all in. It was like holy, it just quieted the noise and that guilt and shame and disconnect, and it was just a false reality. And but I was all in, and that progressed through the years, and it was absolutely a lot of fun. My spirit attracted a lot of beautiful people in my life, and I could see in their eyes, they could see my beautiful spirit, my soul, but I couldn't, and I had no connection to that. So I was confused and scared, full of fear, didn't know how to deal with that. And so I turned to numbing stuff. And that consumed a lot of my life, not connected through it, my spirit, my soul, or anything. And just all ego and self will run riot, if you will. It's there's a lot of cliche sayings out there, but some of them make a lot of sense. Um, but I guess like I would have taken it right to my death, and not looked. Not I was always justifying. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And knew I had a beautiful spirit here, a beautiful light. So I had to be the person that took these soft way all the way through until I was on my knees, broken in half. Um, and I had to look, and that came from looking at my little Chuck, my son. One day he's 2 years old, and I could see in his eyes the intelligence in his eyes, and he could see in me that I was off energetically, and that broke my spirit right there. So it was I had to make a change, and I did. So you set that stuff down 8 years ago, and been seeking and searching self through all that, recovering my spirit and soul. In the beginning, is very hard to do that, to put down a conditioned way of living and your solution, and then just have to sit in self. And I think, like Tracy, I love the name of this podcast, and I truly believe that it's a big part of what everybody has to do individually to get out of the uncertainty where we're at right now. There's a quick answer, and it's within. It's everybody goes within, and I had to do it. I got to do it, thank God, by my 2 children, because I didn't have the leverage for myself, no self-love, no connection to self. So I was a sitting duck. My brother had just passed suicide. And then my dad did 3 months after that, and I was totally insane before that happened. And so I was heading to a pretty, it was just a destructive end. And so I used the kids as leverage, and that was just enough. And each day crawling out of that conditioned way of thinking. And as we know, Tracy, it's escapism. That's what it was. And then taking a look at myself one piece at a time. I couldn't do it alone. I had to reach out. I had to go where people were doing it, and they had serenity, and I could see in their eyes that they had peace, and I wanted it. And in most of those establishments or structures, not many make it. And so I made a point of saying, well, I'm going to make it. And it was the children all the way along for the first year, and then started to connect to self. And that what everybody could see in me, I started to see a little bit more each day. But it's been a process, really conditioned thinking to beat myself up. It comes down to it. All of the core issues were self-worth, and connection to self. So those could be implants from, who knows, attachments, dark energies when our frequencies get low from using drugs or booze, where vibration and frequency comes low. And then there's all sorts of energy fields out there that can attach that are less desirable. So who knows what I've been working through. It's been a thinking problem through the years, not connected to feelings, emotions, but now becoming a master of those feelings and emotions, thanks to people like you and the people in the herd around me. I had to get vulnerable and teachable, and that came from the pain. I was ready to listen and do whatever it took to find, and it all came down to a spiritual connection. I'm not religious, but I truly, my life is driven and turned over to the universal intelligence that we're here, because we're all coming out of a sleepy time, or a sane asylum, almost, like at times. Everything's so inverted and upside down. And so nobody's separate from trauma here, but you either look or you don't. If you don't look, I spent years in despair, bewilderment, confusion, blame, victim, sadness, complete despair and sadness, the bottom of the barrel. And that's what I couldn't tolerate anymore, was the sadness of being disconnected. So the children all the way through have, and then I get into a place of self-love. And, I cut everything off this last year, pretty much social media, intimate relations, just a lot of connections and relations I had, I pushed away a little bit. Some I have losing connection to, just naturally, it seems like, and trying to let go with love and compassion and stay humble, and focus on what's ahead of us here now. Like, I understand the whole addiction process and the recovery process. I don't want to stay there. at that. I want to keep seeking like I have since a little child. And it's all about natural moral right and wrong and truth and integrity and virtue. All those things I wasn't when I was in addiction and recovery. I was a tornado. I was full of pain and everybody was getting it around me. And that was suffering and everybody did around me. So yeah, yesterday was 55 years old and come a long way. I wish my brother was here to high five me because we went through a lot together as children on this time, but had a beautiful time with him while he was here. Just an incredible soul. Lots of laughter and spirit to him. And yeah, life's good. It is really good. I probably went off farther than I needed to there about everything, but I'm really grateful to be present and conscious and aware. I'm not going to say I'm awake because, geez, like I think I am. And then a week later, I don't have a clue again, and I can find myself defaulting into old behaviors, and that's where I have to be the observer and watch that I'm not self-doubting. I'm not insecure. I have to secure myself. I tried to get it from relationships, things, people, places, things, tried to get that security. In the last year, realized finally, after 8 years of being away from all the substance abuse, that it's got to come from me. And so, but you know, you build a foundation along the way to be able to look now, finally, I can sit in this now because I've just spent the last 8 years in the process of following what other people did and get to experience some of that freedom. And that's what it is, because I was a prisoner of my thinking. And I helped quite a few people. I helped a lot more than I do nowadays because there's a lot going on in the world to help myself, and really more connection I get with myself, the more I want to spend time with myself and love myself. But yeah, I've helped a lot of people. There's a lot of people suffering out there unnecessarily. Suffering is optional. If we, if people look, there's a lot of things around us and tools and people that goes against our thinking that are actually there to help. And it's amazing. Like I couldn't have done this without a team. I had to have a team to do this. It was my thinking got me there, and I wasn't getting out of it that way. So yeah, it's all good.
Thank you so much, DJ. I don't think you realize how many people you're speaking out to, especially a lot of men that are going through this awakening process, and how hard it's been to play in this 3D plane. And how do we play 5D in a 3D plane while we're still playing in this form of a reality? And when you realize as the observer, it can be heaven where you are, or it can be anything in between, or even the worst hell in your day, and it's all in that set of mind. And I love how you are so vulnerable, and that's, I think, one of the greatest places to sit in, is finally looking at the lies that we've told ourselves so that we didn't have to go in. And you know, there's so many false realities out there, like I've said, from the religious side of the bird to the false spiritual awakenings, as you would say, that are the same bird trying to keep you still away from yourself, seeking out someone else, no different than another deity, as a guru or someone else, that so that they will know best for you. And that was probably one of the greatest things that I watched you go through, because I remember many conversations how, you know, they would, because you're seeking and you think someone has that key at some point, and then you go through it and realize, well, that's not doing anything for me, until you decided, I know it's all up to me.
Right.
Having the right people supporting you, cheering you on, and that's who you know are your soul family, that are just all trying to cheer you home. And we all know there's no one way to do it, and there's no 100 ways to do it. There's a million possibilities and ways for us to become back home. And that's why, like you've said, you don't say you're awake, because you realize that's a lie and it's limited. That the more we realize, we don't realize. And that's what makes it so exciting.
That's right. And that's when you're a safe place, when you realize you don't know.
Yeah. And for you, I know for myself, especially the energies that I look in people, it all has to do with what their idea of love is, what their idea of love is not. And the more you're able to allow and accept love of self, you can't help but finally be able to reciprocate that out to the rest of all the yous that you are.
That's right. That's right.
And do you believe now, you know, how I always speak, how I know everything is exactly on purpose? And do you know now why your babies came in when they did?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was this carnation would have been over pretty quick if they didn't. Yeah. Oh, and I tell them that every day and treat them so. Yeah, they're beautiful blessings for sure.
And a lot of people never get to hear about, because many people, you see podcasts and talks about many people who are single moms out there, and you never hear about the single dads out there.
Yeah.
And you know, there's been so much false broken mind traps that believe, oh, you know, single moms, oh, they're making broken homes. And we know that's a full lie, because we know the reason that either the mother or the father, who have the same children they're sharing but they're in separate homes, are creating different spaces on purpose for those same children. And when you have someone who is on the awakening journey, and to the degree that you are hands on, first, I want to commend you, because a lot of men end up just pulling away because they find it's just too hard. So they just end up leaving, and they think, oh, I'll create, when they grow up and I don't have to deal with the mom anymore or all the things, that I'll create a relationship then, knowing that they have so much resentment towards you for not being there for them and being that father figure. And why it's not the mother that children need, it's the true mother figure. It's not the father or the blood father they need, it's the true father figure. And so I want to kind of play down that rabbit hole, because so many people believe that, oh, if they're not together anymore, they're going to end up in abandonment and victims and blah, 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 because they want people to be that so that they can blame someone.
Right.
How has that been for you as a single father that is showing up and wanting to be as present as possible, plus having to work and give up some things where you could work even more to make more money, but then you would give up time and space with your children? How has that been in your world, DJ?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll just speak the truth about that. Like coming through early addiction and recovery, there's not a lot of support for the man there. And there's no victim in my conversation. It's just understanding and awareness and personal experience. Um, but the system's designed to stay broken for the man there. And it's also designed, in my belief, to have the mom hooked in the government tit. And that's where that's at. Um, I watched a lot of men and Aboriginal men, and specifically in the province of Alberta, try to recover and stick their head up from the pain and the despair. And the first line of defense for those young men is narcotics. It's antidepressants. So that cuts you off from the sunlight of the spirit. So those fathers that are trying to get back to their children and have a desire to, and they really want to, are blocked and cut off from the sunlight of the spirit. And I've seen a few make it through in really persistent and fall to suicide. It's along that in that world, the despair there is relentless in this world for men that are trying to stand up. Yeah, there's that. But like I said, when I found out there was only 5% of the people that made it in the recovery that I walked for recovering my soul, I had to really be determined that I was going to make that 5%. And I had many. It seems like when you're trying to find that connection to self and let go of the old broken self and that fear, challenges come hard and fierce and fast. It's like the natural intelligence that's fine tuning you, and you need to have good, strong men, is what I've had in my life, hold me up and get vulnerable with them. And I can remember specifically one time when a man called me for the first time, and I was trying to really recovering my spirit, that my self-worth wasn't there. And I was like, I don't have anything to offer this man, possibly to offer him. The phone rang 8 times, and then I answered it. And it was a man by the name of Ron. And we spoke for an hour, and he was suffering, and he's been in recovery for 20 years. And there was this man reaching out to me when I was early recovery, and he saw the wisdom in me, and the conversation started, and I was hooked at that moment to realize the understanding and the connection and the power that that had with two people talking to each other, and me getting vulnerable and going against something that I just was so hard for me to do. Pick up that phone and then get vulnerable. And so I had men support me in this community, and women too. In that recovery community is very loving. It's just incredible. I was a foul person when I first came in, and was constantly having to make an amends, but you could say a lot of things to, and they just, arms are open and I love you, and just keep coming back here until you can find yourself. And so a lot of support there, lots of meditation, lots of tears. First year, every day tears of finding this new self and looking at the fears. And yeah, so, and then the love of the kids is just amazing. As to all the fathers out there, it's hard. It's challenging. The first year, my kids are looking at me. I was like, "Whose kids are you?" Like, I was in shock that I had children. It was a powerful, profound time in my life. And well, not connected to myself really at that time. So it was really scary. And I understand why men leave. And it breaks my heart. And most of them die in an addiction way or something, because they lost that connection from the heart. And but the system's not designed to help them succeed. There's not a lot of encouragement there for them. Yeah, so helping other people is what's kept me the strongest. But now I'm going through a point in my life where I'm trying to figure out how much is people pleasing and how much is just my natural instincts to care for a human being. Because ultimately, in this, what I'm navigating right now is I need to get some energy into me now, in my heart, and stay grounded with me in the world that we're in right now. And that means food and my emotions and my feelings, and rest, and
Filling your cup.
filling my cup. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So really grateful to be a father. It is scary though for the men out there that have challenges with it. I get it. It's tough. But you just get into the children's lives and let the energy flow there, and it creates its own world.
And it's a partnership, you know, when we look at all the relationships. And I think part of the broken mind traps are that, oh, these, you know, when you have a baby, and I myself know from the moment that I speak to them, whether in hypno when they're in the womb to first being born, I can do hypno with them because they can hear and understand like a 30-year-old. They are just trapped in this body, having to figure out how to break through and learn all these things again. And that's why you'll watch babies get so frustrated that they come in knowing that they are not attached to an emotion. That's why I use children so much as an analogy, because they come in just as the vessel they are. They feel what's in the atmosphere and let it go. That's why they can be happy, sad, crap their pants, and go to sleep within 5 minutes, because that's just what they are. And then as we integrate them into the system and whatever civilization, society, all the indoctrinations happen, is where we start putting them asleep. And I'm like, I haven't gotten to, I've only met your son once, and I just think he's such an old soul. It was an honor to meet him, and he had given me some chaga, and it was just like the most beautiful exchange I've ever had from a child perspective, because it was this king giving me this gift, this honorary gift, and it was just a beautiful presence that it was there. And I haven't met your daughter ever, but what I love about, usually it would be the mother, because of that nurturing side of the feminine side that really brings forth the truth. And the men are usually the ones that instill that respect, that honor, that integrity, that drive. And when you see that you're raising children in your own separate household, and you're bringing both that feminine masculine balance for them, how has that been? I would love you to speak about what you see for perspective in them, of how their awakenings have been, and at such a young age now compared to where we were at. It took us till we hit this level of consciousness. Now they're younger and hitting this level of consciousness now. I would love you to speak about that, of what some of your awesome present moments are with your children now that they are in more of an awakening consciousness.
Yeah, for sure. Another good question. So the kids came through with me in early recovery all the way through. We grew together in it. And then it's been pretty honest household. We have table talks with each other once a week, at least. And it's love has no rules about the feminine and the masculine, taking care of a loving being in front of you. It's just a natural thing, and those not nurturing characteristics are in me. And that's some of the things, characteristics and value that I can bring to this world. I can see and nurture now myself. And yeah, being loving it's almost natural, the way we should be, like with children. They teach me a lot. Staying vulnerable with them, and just getting into their energy and their frequency and their vibrations, and being honest with them, and they're honest with me. And that was scary for me. Is first of all, I was like, holy, years ago, what am I going to have to offer these children spiritually? And need to have all the answers worked out and constructed in my head. But what it's been with the kids is just showing up every day. And try to leave my day at the door when I see the kids, and just get into my heart. And if I mess up, and some anger comes out, or self-pity, or victim, or something that affects their lives, I'm making amends with them right away, clean that up, and make sure that they understand that they can do that with me as well. The early parts of being in children's lives is quite easy. And then the hormones and egos and stuff start to come into your children's lives, and the outside world, you can see the effects it's having on your children. It can be really tricky to navigate. So again, going back to men that or parenting and where it's coming from, the man or the woman, it takes a lot of effort it takes a lot of effort, preparation, strength, and ability to separate your emotions of the day with your children, and compassion for where they're at in this world. That is like one of the biggest concerns on my mind, is the children that are looking at this world, who's driving the bus, like who's got a natural moral right and wrong that they can resonate with their frequency. That's truth as a frequency. Who's driving the bus for them? So to me, it's a no-brainer why all these children are hooked on screens, and TikTok is basically raising our kids. It's the effects of that and programming that's happening through technology, but it's all due to the parent that is not whole within, and is confused and scared, and never looked at the fear. Always was going to get to it, but tapped out, and then you accommodate that, and that's who you think you are, but you're not. And so the children get lost in that, and they find their way. So a lot of it has to come with men and women standing on their truth and speaking the truth, because there's a lot of pretty obvious dysfunction happening in front of us. And so just to get along isn't going to fly anymore. So we say we love our children, and we'll do anything for our children. I'll die for my child. How many parents are willing to stop feeding them sugar and poison, pop, all of those things that I'm guilty of too? I understand. It's a process for sure. But it's just
going down that rabbit hole in all those aspects, you bet. And really, it's deciding, when you realize what love really is, love will not tolerate lack.
Right.
And that communication and accountability is the key. And if we aren't with them, how do they know how to be it?
That's right. And it's all about just honestly tapping into the energy, the universal energy out there. My thinking can't match up to the children's thinking, their hearts and their spirits and what they're looking for. I have to have divine universal intelligence coming through me. And that takes preparation. I have to be working on my spirituality, mental, physical, emotional, all that stuff to show up for the children. And then it's just me asking for help, trust that it answers. And when my kids ask me questions, I'll take an hour, and then I'll ask the universe, send it through me. What do I share with them? And it comes within minutes now. It's just by default, it's just showing up. As long as I'm not controlling it with my broken ego, broken selves, those bits and pieces and that I'm detaching from and growing from, and they're part of me, but once you have room for wholeness, there's not room for the broken parts, and they kind of just naturally seem to be going away in the process. But it's tricky with parenting. It is. And then co-parenting is another big challenge, to have different beliefs at the same table. So, what I see things now is anything that as a challenge, people, places, and things, I see it as gold. I don't see it as something's happening to me, or just that it's a victim or self-pity or why me anymore. That's absolute realization. Wow, this is beautiful. And it's showing me what I don't want to be, what I don't want to take part in. Because we're just energy, and how am I going to see what I want to be and don't want to be unless I have it in front of me? So if I have situation, people, places, and things that are agitating me, observer, pause, and process it that way. So it's the energetics is the key. It is, but that comes from good food, high frequency foods, wheatgrass. Well, I know you don't care for the wheatgrass, Tracy, but I'm a big wheatgrass guy. The frequencies and energetics are fantastic. But yeah, it's a process of raising the children. It's truth. I'm top of the school district steady. Once a month, I'm sending them emails to ask them to stand up to their truth and to their morals, to the debauchery that's coming through us. Currently, they're driving the bus there of our children. So, there's just so many people passing the buck in the community that, well, this is the curriculum that our government's giving us, or this or that. Nobody's looking within. Well, hang on a minute. Like, all those people, teachers, I believe, are good people, but are they living true to their truths inside? They're moral, natural, moral, right, wrong. They're not. But that's another podcast time, I guess. But
Absolutely. The indoctrination is real. And that's, I know if you had it your way, you would be homeschooling to pull them fully from the false realizations of indoctrination. And that's one thing I want to bring up right now, because I know that some of the beautiful souls I've seen that pulled their kids and they were homeschooling, and then their children were like, oh, I want to go back to work because I miss school, because I'm missing friendships and all these things you think. So then you let them go back into it, and now they hate it, and it's having to absolutely be there for them, because I know some of these broken ideas that come from two separate homes, where one has the children and they're putting them in school. So, like you, DJ, just having to accept that that's where we are right now, especially because court systems are usually so much more in favor of the mother than the father, because for so long that egoic mindset of a father was not showing up and creating so much havoc. And so there had to be some kind of systems in place. I get it. But we're seeing now that so many men want to be so much a part of it. And how do you navigate knowing that my children, or one of them wants to be not in school, one does, and how do you navigate that knowing that the other parent is not for it? And this is where so many people are feeling right now. So I would love you to weigh on this so that people don't feel so alone.
oh yeah, absolutely. When I left the kids, it was the hardest day of my life, and left all the substances that day. And I really missed my children. It almost broke me in half. Well, it did. And so what I found to connect with my kids was through meditation, and imagining them in their home and sending them love and frequency through this drywall and the shingles, and then over into the ethers and into their house and into their soul and their bodies. In their hearts, and that's how I was connecting with them. And then I come to realize that really worked. It was amazing. I was losing my mind. My ego was going crazy. My victim, my inner child, all the pain, poor me, and I just was trying to force it, trying to force that connection with them. And at the time, I was really broken myself spiritually. But so that was where it started to connect with them through energy, and I could see. And it was just paying attention to them back and forth in the houses. I could see their energy that come from their home into my home, and it would be, well, at first they were just disruptive in the first half an hour, and I thought it was something I was doing. And come to realize it's just the different energetics of the two households. And I wouldn't get mad at them, and I wouldn't be angry, and try to be there for them. And then I noticed they were shifting within an hour to my energy. The calibrations were happening for my energy. So that's how that worked with that. But it's all about the energy with me. I don't have the answers, Tracy. I just try to show up in the present moment, and what life happens for us, not to us. So I've been protected and covered my whole life. I've been by spirit, by energetics, guided, and I know the future for my children and the situation that we're in is being guided exactly as it should. As long as I show up morally sound and energetically sound, I will attract that frequency vibration into my children's life. And it'll be a field that's not just in me, it's in our home, it's in the people I interact with, and it's naturally morally right from my heart. And so children and human beings can't avoid that. They're attracted to its frequency and vibration. And so it's fantastic that all I have to do is trust and turn it over to the natural intelligence that's unfolding here, and really grab some popcorn and watch about everything that's going on, and just make sure that I'm using virtue and being accountable. It's a process. I'm no saint. You know, I crash and burn and get stuck in self-pity and resentment and anger in the middle of the night. My mind will just be clicking, something will wake me up in the middle of the night, and I don't know where it's coming from. If it's coming from my past lives, frequencies that are involved with our lives right now, I don't know, but I don't take it too serious. I just get grounded to the best of my ability, and that's a big part of it for us, what we're going through right now, all of us. And I've taught my kids to breathe since day one, and to breathe. And I was out breathing this morning before speaking with you today, because I know that's where the answers are, is in the field. And it opened my heart, and then I can sit in peace and confidence, knowing that I'm not trying to control life and line up all the players and everything has to match perfect, and because it never does. And so parenting and life in general, as a man, I have to find that connection and keep it healthy as possible. There's so many outside influences, just from energetics of other people. When you're in a room with them, could tank the trajectory where your day is going with your emotions and feelings. We don't even realize it could be an entity or dark attachment, or there's careless energy floating out all over the place. So it's really important to stay in tune with self-awareness, and keeping that heart open. Yeah, and listen. I want to listen now for the next half of my life, because I just spent 55 years talking like I knew everything, but I don't.
No, and you just know what you know, and that's what's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? And that's part of the, how some people will. So, a lot of people are taught that you need to have humility. And where I see the broken aspect on that is because it's like a shaming. Where humility, the way that the energy is really meant from the other side, is about gratitude. And that's what keeps us in that observer state, observing in gratitude, instead of as if we're not big enough. And that's why they've kept us, the masters that we are, in this hidden amnesic state, because they don't want us to remember the righteous, powerful manifestors that we are.
Exactly.
And it's so great. I just love vulnerability. I love everyone's journey because it's so exciting for me. And I love seeing what's happening now. Like, for instance, most of the people that come to see me for hypno are mostly men now, and they're wanting to get out of their way, and they are done wanting to be the players. They want to be love. And it's always been in from the day I started on this plane, I knew I'm just only here to be love, my frequency of love. And I'm just hoping that I can cheer everybody on home, and that's all we're doing. And so when you get yourself out of the way, and then you start being able to really be the integrity of what love is, instead of the lies of what we were telling us, so limited, what's happening right now is the great purge. And I understand that's why they call it the Great Awakening, because you can't bring any of that crap with you. And so every timeline that had been distorted is coming through now. No different than when I put someone in hypno. After you've had that session, I will always say to you, okay, there's going to be stuff that comes up to the table, not for you to relive, but you have to give it permission because you were the one that was deciding with your free will. So the moment stuff comes up and it hits you sideways, it doesn't matter what timeline it's coming from or if it's a different energy, whether it's dark or not, that's coming in just to screw with you. When you are love and you are centered, it is just keep on going and letting it flow. And that's why I think one of the greatest things about the more and more love you become, the more you realize all the little dogmas that people believed you had to do. Like you had to look at all, it's because so many people wanted me to do past life regression on them. And I will try to keep people away from it. If you believe you need to go there, that's one place. But I will suggest to you that the moment you bring that past life in, now it's embedded in your DNA and now you're going to have to live it
Mhm. Mhm.
alongside everything else going on. Why? There's a reason we don't need to know it because we don't. We're here right now and we had all these lives to get where we are now. So why look back? Why not be here now? And that's what's so great about the awakening soul and what I'm seeing happening in the consciousness right now in the big great purge. And those who are becoming the observer and being able to stay as stable and sound in observing are the ones that are starting to remember the masters they are, and that mastery, that amazing power that I feel as the observer just watching and actually laughing more at the ridiculousness that's happening more than being baited into it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, along your journey, and I know one of the greatest things about when I look in your energy field, because I've never seen you build anything, but we know that part of love is because we are perfect, whole, and complete, ever expanding. And so we have these experiences, and when we're in that creator mode, what's so great about when I look in your energy is when you are using your hands and creating things out of material, whatever, you have such an amazing footprint that happens. And I think that's why part of what you're doing right now is part of that calling of being there and your energetic beautiful print that you're leaving for people to get to relish in when this project's been made. And I know like the love that you love is within mushrooms and the whole mushroom world. And so where has that played within you? Because I know many people that, for instance, believed that they had to have a job, the 3D idea of a job. And then when you realize that you're already a 5D and you're showing up as love, how it changes that same world you're in, but in on a different level. How has that been in your life?
Yeah. Good question. It's a good question. So there's been hammers in my 4 generations from me of building houses and home rentals and stuff like that. And I enjoy building very much. It's yeah, it's peaceful. It's always helped quiet my mind. And I enjoy the end result of doing things like that. So and that's the funny thing I'm navigating here right now is the two different worlds, like you've mentioned a few times. And the construction and paying the queen and paying the bills, and then there's my passion of the mushrooms. And how the mushrooms came about was that constant pursuit and seeking to quiet the mind, and to get fit into my spirit, into my soul, again with the noisy mind. So one time we were doing a strawberry farm project, and there's a friend of mine out there by the name of Sheldon, and he asked me if I had ever tried a little tiny piece of mushroom, psilocybin, like the magic mushroom that's been demonized so bad. And I said, yeah, no, I don't know, I'm good. And he said, no, just try a little bit. And so I did. And that day I did have angst in my chest, and the noise went down, and my focus was laser focus. And it was a really good experience to go through that. And that connection I made with fungus, essentially. So that started off 4 years of teaching myself how to grow mushrooms. I had a team at the time, a doctor friend of mine who was helping me out quite a bit, from India, good old school ways and mushrooms. And he taught me a lot and educated myself a lot online, and just went for it. And it's always been about quieting the mind and helping people more along the lines now of extreme PTSD, if you will, suicidal, that are just really twisted in a knot in a bad place, in a dark place in their mind. and not just the mushroom, the psilocybin, but there's a lion's mane, the cordyceps, turkey tail, and different varieties of mushrooms that have huge benefits to humanity. Again, going down the rabbit holes of being misdirected from all of that knowledge and wisdom, we're like a mouse looking for a piece of cheese. And as far as solutions come for health, and that's what's happening now in our world, is people are finding ancient wisdom medicines that that work, and they work well. They can't be capitalized on. It's like the curtains are down and these things are around us. So I have nothing but confidence in that and the ability that the mushroom has to change and help society right now. So I look at big pharma and all the, like I said at the beginning of the conversation about those young fellas helping in recovery, you know, they're getting pumped full of pharmaceuticals right off the bat when they're coming for help, and they got to keep up to it once a week. They've got to take a trip to that psychiatrist to get their pharmaceuticals. I see that as many different things, but it's a glorified drug dealer. So understanding the values that mushrooms have had for people in my experience and the testimonials I get back from people, without a doubt, it's a game changer within my heart. And yeah, I enjoy it. It's part of being creative and imagination, and something for myself that has really helped me personally, and I'm able to pass that on. So that's a hard balance though in this world. Like you said, that's a really good point, balancing the work hat with the construction, the creativity goals with the mushrooms, and helping people that way, staying spiritually centered myself, and helping people around me. That's the balance, and that's the challenge. And I can't do it alone. It comes from everybody around me. I reach out for help, and if I'm not spiritually sound, I'll reach out to somebody immediately. I can see the flags now, and I like where I am today, conscious and heart's open. Like I said, I'm not perfect, but I'm on the other side of all that pain and despair that I was walking through. For whatever reason, I wouldn't change it. It's I have some beautiful energy to me that can benefit the world and men around me, and women, children, and animals. And but I can also, most of my life was tangled up in that, and with illusions of what I thought life was and wasn't, with the unintegrated ego. And yeah, so not many make it. Not many come up concrete of that, of those battles and those demons. But yeah, just talking about. To be honest with you, Tracy, the last couple of weeks, I've been sick of it all. That trying to balance it all, and lack of patience with my surroundings and people I relate with and socialize with. I've been on this awakening for 20 years with the systems and the structures that ran in humanity, governments, and these so-called conspiracy theories that aren't such conspiracies anymore. So that time I've had to grieve it many times through the years, and been kicked out of homes many times for the last 20 years, trying to speak truth about what I felt was not lining up. And so now I've found myself and realized that I let everybody else run the show for me through my life, and believed in them and give them all the credit and put them up on the pedestals. And now seeing that where we're at, and realizing that I do have something to offer this world, that it's safe if I keep going within. I'm going to be able to find most of my answers within, in the connection to the universe. Other than that, I'm getting to a point where I don't have to sell myself anymore, my ego, all of the dysfunction that comes with that. I don't have to sit in pain and suffer in resentment. It's such a toxic place to be, and just doing baby steps, little steps. I can't do what I can't do, but we can accomplish a lot doing little things at a time. That's what's working for me right now. But yeah, like, just touching on what I was saying there, like, my patience is wearing thin, but I think it's an important thing, experience that I'm going through, and I just have to make sure that that's channeled properly. And the discomfort and the frustration and the uneasiness, try to be aware where that's coming from and not take hostages and just keep transcending, transforming it. It's becoming default second nature now to do that. That's what I mean about being away from all the despair and the dysfunction and the pain, to where you come on the other side of it to courage and security and confidence and guidance and trust and connection. All those things that you don't buy at Walmart. They're like, we
And
have to
that's,
do
sorry.
we have to do the work. We have to look to get that stuff for sure.
And that's what's so great. Like I think what's so wonderful, we know many of us kind of have these little stages we go through on the awakening journey, right? And it's never ever this perfect stairway to the heaven that you have. It's the spiral and it goes back downhill, goes back up and it drops. It's this pictograph. And what's so great is knowing, so many people believe that you have to experience hell in order to get your heaven. And that's the biggest lie that they have held over people for so long. Like the paradox that I see just in the conversation here, because you're in this such great place, but you believe you're not perfect. And I'm going to change that in the course of this conversation, because you are perfect and you wouldn't change one thing because of where you are right now. And that means you already are perfect. You've always been perfect, but they've trying to keep you from believing that you're perfect so that
Right.
they hinder you and drop on you and belittle you. And that's why so many people say it, oh, I don't want perfect, I just want real. And it's like, perfect is real, but and perfect is ever expanding. Where's infinity come from? Where is infinite? It is perfectly expanding exactly right here, right now. And so the more that we can remember that we are whole, perfect, and complete,
Right.
and we are amazing. And that's why I'm interviewing everyone who believes that they're just modern day people. Of course, you're modern day people. We're all modern day. We are amazing, because if we weren't supposed to be here, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
Every
Absolutely.
tree only knows to be a tree, and they are so interconnected. And everyone that looks at that tree has no idea until you become with that tree and realize the majesty of the interconnection of this tree. And what's super awesome too is what I really want to bring out in this, because like in the first episode I brought out and I interviewed two ladies that are working with all natural products that are bringing and helping with hormone and adaptabilities. And the reason I wanted to bring this to the mushroom part too is because many people were told that mushrooms are a fungus, and that's a lie.
Mhm.
And mushrooms are so phenomenal is because they are the micro and the macro of life.
Mhm.
That this whole plane, when you even watch any kind of microbiologists that have looked at, they know that without the beginning of what they called fungi, which is a lie, it was micro and macro organisms, which is the builders of life itself, that shows the presence of it. And when you see them in their energetics, that's where we start seeing why so many people like DJ are talking about the mixing of certain types of mushrooms, whether it's reishi or cordyceps, turkey tail. All of these different types of mushrooms have something for life force energy that they help activate within us, no different than any of us who have worked with any form of activation micro levels. And so what's so great is when you understand what adaptogens are, there's a two stages. One's a primary adaptogen and one's a secondary. And like we've talked about, wild yam is a primary adaptogen, so is reishi. And
Mhm.
that's why I'm a big supporter of what DJ's doing and getting out there, because we know that we are a part of Gaia Sophia and she is us. And so when we have a natural product that can have so many great effects with hormone balance, because that's just a part of it, that we know when all harmony starts to happen, everything starts harmonizing, every system, every organ, every gland. And that's why I want people to hear these words in this podcast, to start seeking out more of those ideas instead of big pharma, who have taken pieces and parts from plant life, from medicines, to try to patent because they couldn't make money off of nature. And so why would you take a piece and part when you can have the whole deal? And that's where everyone's starting to come to in this consciousness awakening, who are part of the 5D Gaia Sophia compared to the earth plane, because they know that they are vibing with all the high energies. So they're naturally attracted to higher energies because that's what we do. And so if you guys have questions about certain things that are going on within your life, I would love you to be able to reach out to DJ. DJ, do you have an email that they could send a question to? Is that how you would want them to respond to you?
Yeah, maybe just a phone number. Would that work?
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you can give us your phone number, and I'll make sure in this podcast that my great Jared, who does all of my beautiful uploading and publishing of this, he'll put your phone number up on the screen as well. So if you could give everyone your phone number if they have questions about, and he's talking about mushrooms and that are a whole form of mushrooms, and then he's also talking about the psilocybin side, which is part of an energetic that I want people to help break through the idea of a high compared to, because many of us who are part of Gen X had a blast playing with mushrooms to have, which were quite a bit of psilocybin that would give us crazy high and, you know, laughter, all those things. But I want DJ to go in now and talk about the other side of these psilocybins that have been part of helping to calm the mind so that you can get more into your observing state.
Sure.
Kind of like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So
kind of like what people have talked about with cannabis, but without the THC even because of that energy level. So take it away, DJ, on
yeah,
that.
absolutely. So psilocybin, when it's put into the body, converts to psilocin, and that's two molecules off serotonin. Um, right before mushrooms, of course, were demonized. We all know that. So there's a veil right before the psychoactive parts of psilocybin start to kick in at a really small amount. When they say microdose, it's small. They're having success with 20 milligrams. That's not even a point of a gram of mushrooms. Right before that, there's a veil where clarity comes in. It's undeniable. Where focus comes in, it's undeniable. A sense of calmness, I guess, because that outside noise isn't there. That's in my experience on how psilocybin works, and we mix it with other things like berries as well, and for hormonal balance. I always have a tough time with that word, hormonal. But anyways, yeah, like Shizandra and Shatavari. And then we use mixtures with pine pollen for radio frequency, stuff like that. But specifically the psilocybin, there's a veil before the psychoactive parts kick in that has some very valuable benefits in calming the mind. And there's a connection there. So lion's mane is just one we know for sure that is really good for the neurotransmitters of the brain, that actually restructure neurotransmitters in the brain and help you get out of certain paths in the brain that have been grooved. Lion's mane really helps with that, the nervous system, calming the nerves, getting that energy flow going. We're finding nowadays mixing dark cacao with psilocybin is what they've done over the last 2,000 years. Ancient Egyptians used chocolate with the psilocybin. That's having really good results in expanding the awareness that psilocybin brings to you. So your heightened, your senses are all heightened at that same time, where the focus comes in, the confidence. And it just gives you, like, not everybody needs psilocybin. And not everybody needs it forever. You just use it as a tool. And I believe that marijuana is the same. I personally use marijuana if I'm stuck in resentment or just a low frequency, low vibration. And if I just have one puff, everything shifts, everything changes. And those low level characteristics I was showing disappear, and there's a new perspective on things just from one puff. But like anything else can be abused. Same with psilocybin. But Yeah, it's a tool, and it's really calming the mind. I've helped probably about 20 people get off antidepressants, and anywhere from big boys working up on the rigs to 91-year-old women that I help get off narcotics, massive amount of painkillers and benzodiazepines. They've been stuck on them for their whole life, and that's what they're getting as a solution. Or
Keep going, keep going.
yeah. So again, it's just a tool. I wouldn't if somebody's suffering from addiction issues and they haven't managed to navigate that yet, I'm not certain microdosing is going to help you at that point in time. But yeah, people have to get through the demonization of the psilocybin that's happened over the years, and we're doing that naturally because things aren't working, and big pharma is killing a lot of people. A lot of people are dying, they're suffering. Everybody in their family sees somebody with depression, anxiety, and so things aren't working. The chemicals aren't working. So we go back to the plant medicine, and you know, psilocybin aside, I think mental health comes from a balance of many different things. Emotional, mental, physical, financial, even. Those things are the key to raising to a higher frequency of vibration and be able to draw that energy from the field at that point because you're up at that frequency of vibration. So it's a process. It's like parenting. You know, it's all about being honest with yourself and that mental health, spiritual wellness is what I was looking for there. And that's where we stand the best chance with it. Psilocybin is just another one of those tools that really is undeniable helps. And it's like steak. If you don't like it, you don't eat it. There's nothing addictive about it. Nobody dies from psilocybin. And many are benefiting from it. And, you know, you have people in all sorts of government that are screaming psilocybin to bring that into mental health and psychiatry. And they're trying, but we all know the battle that's going to be with big pharma and things that are inexpensive and work to get those across the table. But naturally, if we're looking within, we're finding these things and letting go of the things that aren't resonating and aren't working, chemical. And yeah, I'm a big fan of psilocybin for sure. It found me. Like you said, I remember mushrooms back in the day and being in some pretty scary places in my thinking and perspectives and stuff. And so microdosing is just a veil before all of that happens. And there's something that's really magical that takes place there in the ability to navigate our emotions and feelings, and staying focused on the moment is a big thing. Everybody knows it. It's undeniable if you experiment with it. And of course, they're doing big journeys as well for you know, people that are suicidal perhaps or PTSD are really suffering down there. They're having a big shift and it's gone. It's just that they have somebody that cares about them, loves them, and walks through a journey with them for half a day or a day, and magical things are happening. And it was just that boost they needed, that kickstart they needed to drop those illusions, the broken mind traps, and like you say, and let them go. And they find optimism, a window shows up and they're gone. And you find those windows by staying persistent and not giving up, because it's tough out there and we get beat down. And but that's our mind tricking us that we think we know, and we don't. We don't know. It's just holding on, pulling the sails in, not taking any hostages, observing, and it passes. The energies pass. And, mushrooms help that too. They help people get to a place where they're not in danger of self-harm mentally, emotionally, and then the window shows up and then they jump. It takes action. Life is an action sport. We can't. Psilocybin isn't a magic pill that's going to fix you, but it gives you the ability to climb up a couple of levels and participate in the change. So yeah, there's many medicines out there. I just happen to focus my attention on the mushrooms. And again, it's that balance. Like, I wish I could put all my energy into the mushrooms. As I say this, I can hear, I know how foolish that is, because all I have to do is physically do it and trust, but I haven't made that jump yet. So that's where I've been for the last month, is looking at that and looking at what that spiritual connection is out there to me, because I'm seeing more. I look within, it's in me. I'm not separate from it. I am the power. And we're always told we're powerless. And to some degree, I understand that we are, but we have personal power. And yeah, it's breaking through the mind traps and all of those things. But there's many different beneficial medicines out there. And the number one thing is just the basics: good sleep, good water, healthy, energetic food, and processing our feelings and emotions, because those are game changers. That anger and all that stuff. I lived an angry life, and people around me paid for it. But that's really a uncomfortable existence. Doesn't have to be that way, for sure. Yeah,
Well, thank you so very much, DJ.
yeah, my pleasure.
I
Thank you.
hope that everyone that's watching or listening, and or both today, I hope that you take what you need, leave the rest behind.
For
I know
sure.
everyone has a state that they are playing in, and the reason that the more natural you get back to the wholeness of everything, the easier it is for you to participate in the accountability part of it, instead of where they've had you trapped and believing just take something to numb you away from it for escapism. And so I hope these words resonate on whatever level in your heart to you, that open and expand, and share it to all those that you want. Please do, again, like, share on my Opening Doors Productions on YouTube. If you like what you see, again, on my YouTube channel, there are over 20 some episodes from the first season, this is episode 3 today,
Awesome.
season 2. So is there anything you'd like to say to your audience before we leave today, DJ?
Yeah, of course. Thanks a lot, Tracy, for holding the space with me today. It's fantastic. It's helped me grow a lot personally through the morning. It's been great. If anybody has any questions regarding the mushrooms, or any stages of life, I'm open to speaking with you, learning from you, and getting vulnerable with you. You want me to leave you my phone number right now, or
Yeah.
587-590-6363. So we're just putting together a proper website and marketing the psilocybin part of it. Just finished the logo and the packaging and stuff like that. So yeah, if you have any questions about that, I would be super happy to talk with you. Give me a call. We'll set up a time. And yeah, thanks, Tracy, for all you do out there. I've watched you through the last 4 or 5 years hold yourself composed very well, and all about love. And I knew you in high school, and it's not easy in this world to push forward with beliefs and the optimism and love that you have, and understanding and awareness. It's remarkable, and it's not easy. And you've helped me a lot personally. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Yeah, me too.
So we will see you next week for episode 4. But thank you for today. And I'm signing off here from Sitting It, the podcast.